The world's oceans cover about 70% of the planet's surface, but according to various estimates, only 10% of them have been explored. And our country has made a huge contribution to this. The knowledge accumulated by Russian scientists helps us become leaders in the harvesting of aquatic bioresources. What is being developed today to ensure successful expeditions, and how Russian science is helping to increase the efficiency of the fishing industry, we'll tell you in this episode. It's like a living organism. When you enter the engine room, you can hear the ship's heart beating. When a finished ship leaves our shipyard forever, it takes a piece of our soul with it. They say humanity has explored space better than the world's oceans. Over 500 people have been to space, while only about 10 have been to the deepest parts of the ocean. Of course, we study the fishing industry alongside scientists, which gives us the opportunity to advise fishermen on what types of fish can be caught and in what quantities. A young boy called and said, "Can we buy some fry from you? Just 10 of them. I'm 11 years old. I want to be a farmer and grow my business." We told him, "Come on over, we'll just give you the 10 fry. You don't have to buy them." We must organize expeditions to assess the stocks of aquatic bioresources, including Lake Baikal, as well as in 7 other Russian regions. Scientists will work in the Pacific Ocean and other seas. Such measures will help strengthen our scientific and technological sovereignty in the country's fisheries sector. Developing the fishing industry without science is impossible. The Key Industry Institute, VNIRO, conducted over 800 expeditions in 2024 to assess the stocks of aquatic bioresources, and last year that number grew to almost 1,000. Such expeditions are one of the tasks being addressed during the decade of science and technology, and VNIRO's scientific fishing fleet is opening up new possibilities. It currently has 5 ocean-going vessels, 13 coastal vessels, and many small boats. How are modern ships built for these expeditions today, and what are they capable of? Every one of us sailed toy boats as a kid. Who would have thought I'd be applying my own hands and mind to building the fleet of our strong country? And now, the flagships of the Russian research fleet are on these slipways. Past experience came in handy, as rescue vessels with high-tech equipment were already built here, and the ones being built now are 90% Russian-made. The fishing fleet and bioresource research are highly relevant, which will eventually allow us to start mass-producing this type of vessel. 2 Project 117T50 vessels will be able to operate anywhere from Africa to the Arctic. They feature extreme maneuverability and have laboratories right on board. What makes the vessel unique is its cutting-edge equipment, a remotely operated underwater vehicle capable of diving up to 350 meters. It's like a small bathyscaphe. The pilot will sit inside the ship. The Great African Expedition began in 2024. The data gathered will help increase the catch in Morocco's Atlantic zone from 60,000 to 100,000 tons annually, and Sierra Leone is ready to provide a catch quota of 40,000 tons of bioresources and grant 20 of our vessels access to its waters. We studied these resources alongside our African colleagues to determine how much they can catch themselves. Some of the aquatic bioresources will be allocated to Russian fishermen. What role will the Far Eastern Fisheries Management Company play in this work? It's a new state-owned company that is gaining power and momentum. Of course, it will also be tasked with carrying out fishing operations there. What are the current global challenges regarding the development of the fishing industry, and what role does science play here? It's all about accurately forecasting the state of stocks and preserving them for future generations. Science is the foundation of global fisheries. It would be very interesting for us to study the world's oceans in terms of the bioresource stocks located at depths below 1.5 kilometers. There really is an entire universe down there, And of course, studying those organisms is the future. In terms of catch volume, Russia is among the top 5 leaders on the planet. Last year, the salmon catch increased by 40%. Pollock grew by over 11% for the first time in 25 years. Herring rose by 30%. And this is an absolute record for the domestic catch of this fish. The history of this company began 35 years ago with a single idea and 3 people in the Kuril Islands. Today, the fleet includes 74 vessels, and last year's catch exceeded 600,000 tons. This accounts for 85% of all production in the Sakhalin region. In recent years, we've encountered a problem. The Pacific salmon catch started to decline, but they found a solution here. It's the Sakhalin Hokkaido herring, which hadn't been seen for 70 years. Then, 5 years ago, it began to resume its cycle. How did you find out? Did scientists tell you? It started approaching the shores of Sakhalin. We funded scientific research to track these herring aggregations and their dynamics. We studied this for 3 years. We calculated our risks and decided they were justified. So we decided to build this plant. This 10,000 square meter complex was built in under a year. It processes 700 tons of raw materials per day. They primarily rely on Sakhalin Hokkaido herring, but they also process cod, pollock, salmon, and other fish. A new plant means new technologies. This vacuum packaging means no exposure to oxygen, which increases the product's shelf life. By how long? It used to be 12 months, now it's 24. Alexander Savan is the workshop manager. Although he studied public catering technology, he came to Sakhalin from the Omsk region. How did you end up producing fish instead of cooking it? To be honest, purely by chance. They told us in class that there was an opportunity to go to Sakhalin and try working in fish production. Everyone soon realized I wanted to stay here for a long time. As a region, Sakhalin is #1 in the Pacific for fish processing. Because of this, we're actively developing infrastructure, including Korsakov Port. Our entire fleet, which is the largest and most modern in the Pacific Ocean, will be able to dock at our port. This means we won't have to send our fish to countries like Korea or anywhere else, because we'll be able to process it ourselves. Next year, we plan to build a 150,000-ton processing plant in Shikotan. And over the past 5 years, about 7 fish processing facilities have been built. How's the catch this year? And your expectations? Around 5 million tons. More than 30 modern processing plants have already been built. We've built 55 vessels capable of processing fish on board. In fact, we have now begun to produce our own equipment. This is actually one of the most modern enterprises in Europe and the world. When I asked about the catch, you instantly showed me a gesture like this. So you're a fisherman at heart? We're all hoping for a huge catch. Tell us about your biggest catch. I caught a tuna. How many kilograms? 50 kilograms. I had to put my back into it. It was a good arm workout. I fought with that tuna for about 30 minutes. Was it delicious? Of course. All fresh fish is delicious. Another area that can't exist without science is aquaculture. It involves farming aquatic life under human control. In 2025, our companies produced 96,000 tons of salmon feed. This means Russia independently meets over half of its domestic needs in this segment, even though back in 2024, it was only a quarter. The amount of fry, or as professionals call it, stocking material, has also increased. It has doubled. This is the result of Russian-made feed. Beautiful fish. North Ossetia is a leader in rainbow trout production. But delicious aquaculture begins with feed production. In a previous episode of There Is a Solution, we already talked about those creating alternatives to imported feed. Russian enterprises are actively switching to domestic feed. It's just as good as Western alternatives. Even if the market opens up and imported feed returns, it will be extremely difficult for them to win back the market. Elena Moisiva came to business from science. She started at the Fisheries Research Institute. She's in touch with feed suppliers 24/7 to continuously improve quality. 4 years ago, I took a risk and started selective breeding myself. What is modern imported caviar like?
Импортная икра
Imagine a broiler chicken compared to a non-selected running chicken.
бройлера и беговую, неселекционированную.
The difference in growth rates can be up to 2 or 3 times.
В 2-3 раза.
Russian producers need to ensure that their caviar and the fry obtained from it are more economically viable.
Из этой икры был экономически более эффективный.
Today, there are 3 million Russian fry in these pools. There used to be 0. Our business has grown 10 to 15 times over 4 years.
15 раз.
The number of regions we supply caviar and fry to has grown 5 or 6 times over. Here we have catfish and carp. There's herring. We were recently in Sakhalin. It's all native to our country. Washed by 13 seas. Do we really only have muksun, omul and pellet? This is just a small part of what we've added to our menu for our guests. The chef's principle, every dish is part of a gastronomic journey. Not just rice, but rice chips made from this extruder. A vibrant presentation and a strict approach to quality. It even has its own farm. The fish is fresh, and modern blast freezing technologies ensure a strategic reserve. Everything has its own seasonality and interruptions in fishing. If you don't have a backup in the freezer, what will you serve your guests? So you always have a backup supply in the freezer? Yes. Seafood is a vital source of ingredients for haute cuisine. And a chef must be well-versed in physics, biology and chemistry, and of course, be a bit of an artist. For example, sterlet can be lightly smoked. To do this, oak leaves are set on fire. Like this, oops. Mussels and tomatoes served in nori seaweed, and tuna steamed using its own oil.
Под паром из масла той же рыбы.
Knowledge and experience help us discover new solutions and technologies to implement.
Претворять их в жизнь.
It's delicious.